Hello and welcome back to everyone that's tuned in to the American Ultra Stock channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for helping us and supporting us throughout the live that we had during the weekend. Stay tuned, there's going to be more of that. Stay tuned for this weekend. We're going to be live streaming as well because, well, club season's over. Now it's international soccer, international football, if you want to call it, which I think it's always the most fun, perhaps the most meaningful. We have Copa America on one side, all the eyes are going to be on that. That's where our support is. But on the other side of the globe, we have Euros going on. You see on Braden's background, Mandzukic, Lampard. You see on mine, it's the most memorable Euros that I saw as a kid. No hate on Ronaldo. It was just very, very peculiar. So today, what we're going to be doing is going through our predictions on what this tournament is going to look like. Always very tough to predict, especially since a lot of third place teams go through. But we're going to run through straight to Braden's predictions. What have you got for the group stage, Braden? Let's see if we have any big surprises.
Yeah, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna do my full predictions, and then we're gonna go to Yuri's. So if we'll have the timestamps, if for some reason you don't care about my opinion and you want to skip straight to his, by all means go ahead. But I'll start with my group stage here, and we'll start with Group A with the hosts Germany. They did automatically qualify as hosts, which in some aspects can be a disadvantage, just because they do have the lack of games. They have to make friendlies against obscure nations, one of them being the USA, as we all remember back in the fall. They were shaky to start with Nagelsmann after they had a horrible run of form with their previous manager, but recently in March they beat France and the Netherlands. They're in good form, although they did just draw Ukraine today as we record this. Wirtz and Musiala are obviously the main names. They're such an exciting duo going forward, but I do think the lack of a real world-class striker could end up hurting them later down the line. But for the group stage, they should be fine. I think they'll probably top the group. Moving on to Scotland, the next team, they qualified behind Spain. They had an amazing start to Euros qualifying, winning all of their first 5 matches, but since then they haven't won a game. Besides, as we record today, they beat Gibraltar 2-0, but you can't even really count that as much of a win because they lost 14-0 to France. So take that for what you will. They've been in very poor form recently, including a loss to Northern Ireland at home, which is something that really you should not be doing as a team that is in the Euros and is trying to fight for a spot to get out of the group. They definitely have the quality in some aspects. Andy Robertson, John McGinn, Scott McTominay, if he is healthy, Billy Gilmore are some very quality players, proven. But overall, I think there's too many gaps. I don't know if I really back them to do well in this tournament, especially since their striker Che Adams did score today against Gibraltar, but before that he hadn't scored an international goal for Scotland since 2022. So there's some real concerns up top. Hungary, the third team in the group, huge underdogs. I think they're the popular favorite to be the dark horse this tournament, and rightfully so. They always overperform against the big teams. They play to their level of competition. They've had some uninspiring draws to bad teams in qualifying, but we remember back to the Nations League and the last Euros as well, where they had some great performances. In the Euros, they drew against France and Germany. In Nations League, they beat England home and away, and drew with Germany at home and beat them away. Some iconic performances from their team. They have some big names like Szoboszlai being the key one. He's going to be absolutely crucial for them. So look for them to have a good tournament. And then Switzerland, I think they're kind of past their best, to be honest. They had their generation. They always do pretty decent at big tournaments, but now with their players in their last legs, their main star Shaqiri for so long is now one of the worst players in MLS. So that's a huge concern for them. I think they're just a little bit past it. So ultimately, for my predictions for this group, I'm going to have Germany here in first place, Hungary taking second, Switzerland in third, and Scotland in fourth. And we'll get to the third place teams that go through after I've predicted every single group.
All right, my Group A right here is very similar to yours, Braden, with a little bit of a change. I'm actually going to put Scotland in third. And the reason for that is because I don't really trust Switzerland to do anything. I don't think that they have the star power they once had. I think that they would have to rely heavily on Sommer, but I don't really see much from them. I think that Germany is going to walk through this group, but I see Hungary, as you said, a lot of people have them as the dark horses, potential dark horses for this tournament. I have them too. I think that they have a lot of quality. They've always shown and held their own, honestly, even with some bad generations with Shalai and Salai at front. They would always somehow make it through and do all right. So I'll have them in second here because I think it is one of their best generations so far. I don't think anyone has a prediction like mine.
Really? Okay. I'm interested to see. Moving on to Group B, the group of death, I think a lot of people will call it. You've got Spain, Croatia, Italy, and Albania. I'm going to have Spain topping the group. I think they have such an incredible team. Ultimately, I don't know if they have the players to win the tournament. I think it might be one tournament too soon. Their next generation that they have brewing has the potential to be world class and do some incredible things, but I think this year it might just be a little too soon. But for this group, I back them to take down these teams despite the tough competition. They kind of own Croatia as of recently. They beat them in the Nations League final last summer on penalties, and at the last Euros as well, they beat them in the round of 16 after extra time. So they know how to beat Croatia, and Italy have fallen off massively. It's been sad to see, really, Italy's fall off, not qualifying for the last two World Cups. They did win the last Euros, but there's been a huge decline recently and some key injuries as well. They won't have Tonali due to the betting thing as well. Berardi, Acerbi, and Scalvini this tournament, which are going to be huge losses. They have some key players, as they always do, but ultimately I think Croatia's team with their golden generation, kind of like Switzerland in the twilight of their careers, but a lot better players than Switzerland has. So I think their golden generation, this is going to be their last dance at a major tournament. We know they made the final of the 2018 World Cup, the semifinal of the 2022 World Cup, and I expect them to have a decent tournament here. So I'm going to have Spain in first, Croatia second, Italy third, and Albania, unfortunately, they have a couple decent players. It'd be nice to see them make an underdog run. I'll be rooting for them, but I don't think they can do it in this stack of a group.
In Group B, I'm actually going to. This one's the toughest one for me. For those of you that don't know, this jersey that I'm wearing, it's celebratory of the unification of Italy. It's from the Savoyan family, from Emanuele, who was the first king of Italy. It's the rest of their family. It's a little bit of a homage to my heritage, and I'm actually going to back Italy right here, not to win the group because I'm not insane, to actually go through in third place. I think that's how Italy's going to scrape out of this group right here. I have Spain in first, Croatia in second, and I don't think that Italy's going to do much in this group stage, but it will still somehow be able to manage a big win against Albania, hopefully make it through in third spot. More on that later, but this is my group right here, even though my dad, my brothers would probably be mad at me, but I have Italy in third.
Now on to Group C, England's group. Going to be a lot of eyes on them as going into this tournament as the betting favorites, which is interesting considering that they haven't won an international tournament in forever. And so hopefully for them, they'll be able to break that duck. They came so close last time, losing out on penalties. So hopefully in training, they've been practicing the penalties because that could become crucial in the knockout stages. I don't think they'll have any problems with this group. It's pretty uninspiring. Slovenia are they're the new ones on the block, as they say. They have a lot of inexperienced players. Their main star is Oblak in goal. We all know from Atletico Madrid, very experienced player, but as a team, they haven't been on this type of stage before. So I think Sesko could have a good tournament up top. He's their star man in the outfield, but ultimately the lack of quality around some of the players like Sesko, Skriniar plays for Slovakia, my mistake, and Oblak there. I think the lack of quality is going to get to them, so I'll have them in fourth. Denmark are a real sad team to watch, to be completely honest, because we go back to last Euros, their incredible performance, making the semifinals, actually losing to England, who they're in the group with, in extra time. Such an incredible run, especially after what happened to Eriksen that tournament. It was really nice to see, but the heartbreaking exit in the group stage of the World Cup, and they just haven't been the same. Some very underwhelming losses in qualifying to Kazakhstan and Northern Ireland, and they even conceded the goal to San Marino. If you're conceding to San Marino, you can't have aspirations to do anything at this level of a tournament. So I actually think they'll finish in third in this group, despite the fact that Serbia kind of like some of the other teams here, haven't really performed in big tournaments ever, to be honest. I think they do have the players. Mitrovic is such a good striker, and they've still got players like Vlahovic, Kostic, Monkovic, Savic to support him. So I think just due to the nature of the current Denmark team and Slovenia's inexperience, I'm going to have England easily topping the group. I think that's a no-brainer, but Serbia in second, Denmark in third, and Slovenia in fourth, unfortunately for them.
In Group C now, this is where it gets interesting. My wish to hate on England is really high right here, but I won't be able to do that. They have a fantastic squad. They're going to walk through this, and I think it will be even better because if they play as well, I like a game that England seems to play every tournament, which is how close to being great can we get without actually being great. I love that, and I think that this group stage will help that a lot, and it'll make their demise later on in the competition all the more fun. I have them in first right here, Serbia in second, which is perhaps a hot take, but I think that they have a good strong core. They always seem to do just the bare minimum. They never punched above their weight with the quality that they had. I think they could have had better showings, especially at the World Cups. But I have them in second because I don't think this group is all that strong, really. I have Denmark in third spot. Like you said, a really sad downfall compared to what their last competition was. And they had a dream run as well in the World Cup previously, but Denmark, I think it's the ship has kind of sailed. I don't think the quality is there. Slovenia goes in fourth. Props to them for making it to the tournament. Honestly, huge props, but I don't see much from them.
Moving on to Group D, another very tough one. And based on the average FIFA rankings, this is the toughest group, not Group B, and justifiably so. France, probably the best team in the world, despite losing the World Cup final. We all know it happened there, but their talent is insane, and their depth too. They could make 2 or 3 teams that could go far in this tournament, but they'll be bringing their main guys, and I don't think they'll have any problems with this group. As tough as the team as Netherlands are, they really struggle to beat the big teams, especially France. They were in the same group in qualifying, actually, and Netherlands lost to France both times. So I don't think they'll have any problems with them there. Austria as well are a very tough team. Had a good qualifying group, finishing second behind Belgium, and ahead of some other decent teams as well. They've been on a huge run of form recently, and I actually back them here. Kind of an upset. I think they're going to finish second in this group. I think Netherlands' inability to beat big teams could cost them. Austria have the potential to sneak out a draw against France and maybe even beat the Netherlands. So this is going to be, I think, my first major shocker here, depending on what you think with some of the other ones. There's some others, but I'm going to have France topping the group, Austria in second, Netherlands third, and then Poland last. Poland are extreme disappointment. For some of the talent they have, Lewandowski in particular, they're such an underwhelming team. Some bad losses, I think, to Moldova in particular. Bad draws, didn't even qualify through one of the worst qualifying groups, had to go through the playoffs. I don't think they have any chance in this group.
My Group D, I think this one's very tough, perhaps a hot take. I have Netherlands in first. I think that France will be a little bit slow to catch on, but it will be very tight. It might be on goal difference. I think that I have them going really deep in the tournament. I think that they're a better squad, but I think that they just might take a little while to acclimate to this tournament. I don't think it really matters too much if you're first and second in this, because you're going to have to play the best if you want to be the best. So I have France in second, even though I rate them as the best team in this group. I just have a weird feeling they might go through in second spot. And in third, I'm going to have the bare minimum lords. It's going to be Poland. They always somehow make it through. I like Austria, but I think that Poland is a very tenacious squad. Very boring to watch, but they always do just the bare minimum every single tournament. I think they're probably Greg Berhalter's favorite national team just because of the amount of bare minimum tournaments they've had. I rate Austria, but I just have a feeling that Poland's going to do. I'm going against my reasoning here because honestly, it's hard on Austria. If they had fallen in Group B, I would have them actually above Italy, but they fell into this group. I think it's a tough one. They're going to be in fourth, which is sad to see. Hot take.
Group E, a very straightforward group. Belgium always seemed to be blessed with easy ties. I mean, they had a pretty mediocre qualifying group, and this group here in the Euros is even easier. Slovakia, I don't think they're really too special. They have a couple players. Skriniar, Lobotka, the main ones. But besides that, it's a very mediocre team. Romania had an impressive qualifying, no losses, which was a pleasant surprise to see, especially in a group with Switzerland. But ultimately, I don't think they have the star quality to perform at this tournament. And Ukraine, I think Ukraine could be a potential dark horse of this tournament. We'll get into the knockout rounds later. I actually almost had Ukraine topping this group, but just due to the star power and attack for Belgium, I think that they'll ultimately edge it on goal difference. My main prediction here is that Belgium will tie Ukraine. I watched the Ukraine versus Germany game today. I was very impressed by their defensive capabilities, able to shut down some of the best attackers in the world. So I think they can earn a draw against Belgium, but in the other games, Belgium's goal difference will be way better. I mean, their star quality up top, De Bruyne, Tielemans, Doku, Trossard, Lukaku, De Ketelaere, I could go on and on with the names. They're going to score so many goals, beat up on Slovakia and Romania, and ultimately top the group. Ukraine in a very, very close second. And then in third, fourth, I don't think it'll matter, but Slovakia in third, Romania in fourth.
And I'm going to put Belgium actually in second. It's going to be Ukraine in first. So for some people, it might be a bit of a change. However, I think that Ukraine is going to be playing with a little bit of extra passion. And when we see an international stage, especially, passion can close the gap, narrow the gap in between quality. And I think that they have enough quality to make up some difference with squads like Belgium. They seem to be in with a lot of animosity with their own players, which is a little bit funny. So that's what I have: Ukraine, Belgium, and in third spot, Romania. I really wish I could see Slovakia there.
And getting onto the fun group here, Group F, pretty straightforward for Portugal. They were the only team in qualifying to win every single one of their games. So with their new manager, Roberto Martinez, the former Belgium coach, he's been absolutely ruthless, knows how to beat up on the small teams, and that's going to help them here because there's no really main contenders in this group besides them. Turkey, Georgia, and Czechia are all solid sides. Turkey had a pretty impressive qualifying run, topping the group with Croatia, so I think they'll finish second pretty comfortably here. But Czechia had a decent run in the last Euros, even beating the Netherlands in the round of 16, but I think their luck will expire here. They have Patrick Schick, but that's about it. And Georgia, similar story. They have Kvaratskhelia, but really besides those two players for those countries, there's not a surrounding cast. So Portugal top, Turkey second. I'll go Czechia third and Georgia last, just due to the inexperience.
I'm going to have Portugal in first. I think that they're blazing through competition. I have Czech Republic in second spot. Maybe is a hot take, but I really rate Schick. I think that they have a good squad. I think that Czech Republic has always played with a lot of pride in these tournaments, and I'm going to put them in second. And this is maybe biased, but I have Georgia in third because, quite frankly, I don't really like Turkey. I think that they're massive underachievers at every single tournament. Apart from the 2002 World Cup, where they actually gave Brazil a really tough time, they haven't really done anything ever since, especially with the talent that they have. So I wouldn't be surprised if they finish fourth, and I think that Kvaradona can perhaps surprise and take Georgia, the small nation of Georgia, to the knockout stage.
And then quickly, we'll have to rank the third place teams before we get onto the knockout rounds, because in the Euros, the top third place teams do make it through. So in first, I'm going to give it to Italy because I think they'll beat up on Albania by quite a large margin, maybe sneak a draw against England or against Spain or Croatia. So I'll put them first. We'll put Netherlands second just because I think they're the second best team here, and they should be able to beat up on Poland, maybe get some points against Austria. In third, I'm going to put, this is an interesting one, I think I'm going to put Switzerland here in third to go through. Slovakia, I don't think they'll go through, and I don't think Czech Republic will either. So that leaves Denmark in the last spot, and the other ones don't really matter. So moving on to the round of 16, quickly, Yuri, what do you think about some of these picks?
Some interesting picks there because I have, well, as you guys saw, I have quite a different, not too different, but I have some hot takes, right? I like that you gave credit to some teams that people don't really follow, putting through Ukraine there, Serbia, Hungary. I like Hungary a lot. So I'm curious to see who you see matching up and going over to try to get the title. And also, honestly, shame on you for discrediting Italy in big tournaments. You always show up. So let's see what happens in your predictions here, Braden. But I understand too.
Yeah, so now moving on to, I'll just do the full knockouts here to make things easier. We'll start with the round of 16. Germany versus Serbia. This is pretty easy. Germany at home. Serbia, like I mentioned, don't show up in big tournaments. It's probably even an upset pick to have them getting out of the group. It's very possible that they don't even do that. So easy win for Germany here. Hungary versus Croatia is a very tough one because I think Hungary, like I said, they play up to their level of competition. They have the ability to beat up some of these teams and cause a major upset, but Croatia are also such a solid team and they always perform at big tournaments, although granted, usually it's at the World Cup and not so much the Euros. This is such a tough one. I'm gonna pick Croatia just to be a little bit safer, and I think that this golden generation they have has one final deep run in them, a last dance, so to speak. So I'll have them moving on there just narrowly. Spain, Switzerland, similar to Germany, Serbia. Switzerland may very well not even make it this far, so easy win for Spain. They have so much talent. England and the Netherlands, that's an interesting one. I think England's attacking quality, it can't be denied. On paper, they have one of the best, if not the best rosters, and that's why they're overall the favorites for the tournament. And the Netherlands, like I said in the group stage analysis, they just can't beat up on big teams. So I'm going to have England going through here. Maybe it'll be coming home. Who knows? Portugal, Denmark, moving on. I think it'll be pretty straightforward. Kind of like the Germany, Serbia, and Spain, Switzerland games. Easy win for one of the favorites here in Portugal. Austria versus Ukraine. It sucks if this were to happen because these are my two dark horse teams to make a deep run. I think as it stands, I actually think Ukraine have a better squad, but Austria have been in better form, which is interesting. I just think the emotions around Ukraine are so high. The people of Ukraine really need something to cheer for. So I'm gonna actually have. Oh, this is a tough one. No, I'm gonna go with the team that's been in better form. I'm gonna go with Austria to go through. Although I would love to see both these teams make a quarterfinal run. Hopefully they don't get drawn against each other in the round of 16. Moving on to Belgium versus Italy, the battle of mid. See, I would pick Austria, Ukraine legitimately to beat either of these teams here. I'm not a big believer in Italy, as I probably mentioned in the group stage, and Belgium as well. They can't beat big teams. They can never win anything, despite being number one in the FIFA rankings for way too long. Although I am going to have them winning here. I think their firepower is a little too much for Italy, especially with the injuries to Acerbi and Scalvini are going to be huge at the back, and the lack of their true six, Tonali as well. I think the star quality that Belgium has going forward is going to be just enough to take them past Italy. And the final match, France versus Turkey. Turkey would have had a good run to this point, good run through qualifying, but it's France. They're not going to lose at this stage, even though they did last Euros against Switzerland. Now, moving on to the quarterfinals, Germany versus Spain. What a matchup that would be. The hosts versus potentially one of the brightest up-and-coming young teams in this tournament, and I do think the home advantage just edges it for Germany here. And like I did say in the group stage analysis, Spain, I think, are one tournament too soon to really contend for anything. Unfortunately, I'd love to see some of their young stars make a statement and potentially even win this tournament. But I think Germany is more experienced and they have the young stars of their own as well, as we know. So I'm going to pick them to move on to the semifinals along with I think this is where the run ends for Austria or potentially Ukraine if it ends up being them. Portugal are just too good of a team. The firepower they have. It'll be interesting to see how Ronaldo plays a part in this tournament. He could start and be a Golden Boot contender, especially considering their group isn't the strongest. He could get benched for Gonzalo Ramos, like we saw in the World Cup, round of 16 against Switzerland. We really don't know what's going to happen, but with or without Ronaldo, they have the talent on the attack, midfield, defense, everywhere to get by Austria and make the semifinals. This is where the run ends for Belgium. I really don't think they're good enough to make a serious run in this tournament, especially with their star keeper and potentially the best goalkeeper in the world, Thibaut Courtois, injured. Matt Sells is now their number one, and for all the USMNT fans out there who have been keeping track of Nottingham Forest because of Matt Turner and Gio Reyna, you all know that Matt Sells is not a good goalkeeper at all. He's going to cost them, and especially since they have a poor defense as well, aging and just lack of quality, really, France are going to run riot against them. I would predict if this game happened, it'd be by multiple goals, maybe even a 3-4-0 for France. But the last quarterfinal is a rematch of the World Cup semifinals from 2018, England versus Croatia, and I think England do get their revenge. Croatia's run and their luck just expires. Unfortunately, I think some of their team is a little bit too old, and England have the up-and-coming generation of young, exciting talent. So they move on to the semifinals where Germany versus Portugal. I'm going to take Germany. I think Portugal might have a more talented squad, but the home advantage, Germans, I truly believe Germany has some of the best fans in the world, especially some of the best in Europe, maybe the best overall in Europe. We saw that in the Champions League final. Dortmund fans were so much better than the Real Madrid fans, which is part of the reason I had them beating Spain in the quarters. But I do think Germany will get it done past Portugal. They haven't done anything. They won the 2016 Euros with a very poor team, but since then, I think they've underwhelmed at a couple of big tournaments, and I think they'll continue to do so. Germany, this is their tournament to win, make a statement at home, and I think they'll make a very good run at it. So I have them in the final against, I'm going to put France. I think their time is coming. I think they had a very disappointing run last Euros, losing in the round of 16 on penalties to Switzerland. They're going to want to avenge that, and especially with the loss in the World Cup final recent in their memory, they're going to want to make a statement, win an international tournament. And England, they have such an exciting team, but kind of like Spain, I think they might be just one tournament too soon for them. 2026 World Cup, they could be huge players, maybe even win it all, but it's not going to be coming home for England. It'll be Germany versus France in the final. And unfortunately for Germany, just like Borussia Dortmund in the final, the whole world will want them to win, but this is France's tournament. I'm going to have them beating Germany despite the home field advantage. They just have too much quality. Mbappe is going to make a statement this summer after signing for Real Madrid, truly announce himself as the best player in the world, and ultimately, I have France winning the whole tournament.
I'm not a huge fan of the third place teams going through. And first there on this ranking, I have Italy. I'm going to back Italy to go deep, actually. But I think that they'll just scrape by. They'll benefit from this format that I'm not a huge fan of. And then I'm actually going to put Poland. I'm going to put Poland there. I think that they'll just scrape through as well. They're very good defending, perhaps just because of Chesney, but I think that they always somehow do well. I think they were a little robbed against Argentina as well, but that's a topic for another time. It just goes to show how I think that they do hold their own defensively. Also, I have Denmark. I think that it will be boring tournament from them, but they'll still make it through. And in fourth spot, this is perhaps the hottest take out of this group. I have Romania going through. I really like Romania. I think I'll put them in fourth, and in fifth and sixth, I'll have Switzerland, Scotland, and Georgia. Sadly for Georgia. Maybe Georgia even sneaks through in that fourth spot. I would like to watch that, but then it would be too much passion other than reason. That brings me to my round of 16. And for the first matchup, Germany against Serbia, I'll be brief. This one's pretty easy to call. I think Germany is going to win. They're extremely talented. For the next one, it's actually similar to yours. It was also the first ones. I think that they're exactly the same, and I actually am going to go with Croatia. I think that Croatia is going to have a last dance. They're going to give it their all. I think they have a lot of talent as well, and again, maybe they just have this light belief that they should do their nation proud one more time with this crop of players. I have them going through. That brings me to, the very easy one to call. Sad for me, I like Romania, but Spain's going to batter them. They're going to absolutely destroy them. I think that the Spain squad is very talented. It's just a shame that they're too young to mount a challenge later on. But moving on to England against Poland. It'll be nice. This is one of my favorites. This is the moment where England wins the match very notoriously, and then it's coming home. And then we see that everywhere. Every pundit under the face of the earth is going to have England winning. It's coming home. It's coming home. And it's all too nice because the demise is even funnier when it happens in the future. Portugal against Denmark. Not tough to call at all. I think Portugal will have a tough time in the game because Denmark will defend well, but Portugal is going to win. They have too much quality. I really like watching this Portuguese side as well. And France against Belgium, no-brainer. Honestly, France makes it through. Shouldn't be tough for them. And Ukraine against Italy, this is the moment that Italy comes from the ashes and starts doing well right here. They're going to beat Ukraine. I have to back Italy because football heritage, as Mourinho says. I'm going to back Italy here. And then Netherlands against Czech Republic. This is a tough one to call. I think that the Czech Republic will do well, and I actually have them going through. Crazy take. I have them going through. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world to imagine this. Every Euros, a lot of surprises happened. I mean, we saw Wales make the semifinals back in the day. You see it on my background. No hate to Ronaldo, but we saw Greece win it. It could happen, and I think that the Czech Republic has enough talent in their squad where they can mount a serious challenge. Now, my quarterfinals, I think they did look a lot different than yours. To me, this is a very tough one. Germany against Spain. But I think that Germany will just sneak through. I think it'll be a very cagey game. It will underwhelm in terms of what happens on the pitch. Again, if this even happens, maybe I'm just looking like a clown in the future. But I think it'll be a very similar to Champions League finals. Two quality sides, but the stakes are too high. Then Germany will barely make it through. And then Portugal against France, in my opinion, whoever wins this could be the champion of the entire tournament. It would be a shame for me that they would meet in the quarterfinals. Hopefully and probably I'm wrong, so this won't ever happen. But if it does, I actually have France going through. I think that there's too much quality. It's heartbreaking for all the Portuguese fans, but they say goodbye, and it's a nice and honorable goodbye for Ronaldo as well. Had a great career with the international side. I don't think he's going to play even further, but if he does, hey, you never know. The man's a great athlete. And then here we have Italy and Czech Republic. Isn't it all set up for Italy to go through? I think it's actually a tremendous chance for Italy in this scenario, where somehow Italy finds themselves in the semifinals of the Euros. Obviously, being incredibly biased here, but I think that it can happen. It's a very easy path for a team to finish third in the tournament. And then England against Croatia. Wouldn't I love to see Croatia pull through on this one? But it won't happen. I think that England is going to win. I have to go with a bit of reason right here. I think I've been ridiculous enough with some of these takes. And then the semifinals, again, one side of the bracket, very, very strong. The other one, obviously England's strong, but we know they have that gene in them to bottle it, as they say. I have Germany beating France, honestly. Crazy take. I think that Germany can do it. With home support, France has won it all recently. Obviously, they got to the final and lost, but they have a lot of achievements already under their belt. I don't know. I always count on something weird happening with the French national team as well, because that was the case back in the day. Obviously now they seem to have great harmony, but I just feel like Germany, it could be their time. They have a very talented squad, and at times France can be vulnerable. I think that Germany has enough human material to make it to the final, especially with the home support. Can't underestimate that. And on the other side, this would be the best matchup of my life if Italy somehow beats England. Last time around in the Euros, I had this exact final, Italy and England, and Italy won. So I'm going to back myself to pull with another crazy prediction here. This would be insane. Italy beating England. I think I'm looking like a clown at this point, but honestly, England always seems to falter and underachieve. I think they could easily make the final against Germany, but I'm just going with what I think can happen, honestly. The jersey weighs heavy, and I'm going to put Italy ahead of England. And this final, well, I see your reaction, Braden. It's a bit insane, isn't it? But Italy, even though they've made it this far, I think that even though they've never lost a competitive match to Germany on regular time, they lost it on penalties once throughout the entirety of the rivalry. We own Germany, really, but I'm going to go with Germany winning this one, which will be heartbreaking. I think I've gone with bias enough right here. I think that this Germany side is really good. I think it could be the resurgence of a giant, really, and they will reach the 26th World Cup with a lot of momentum because, in my opinion, they're going to win the tournament. So, Braden, what do you think about my predictions? Was it too crazy? Your opinion.
Yeah, there was definitely some difference in our opinions, but that's the beauty of this tournament, and especially with the whole third place teams going through, having four of them, the whole knockout stage is so unpredictable, at least in terms of the path that teams could take. So you could see all of our round of 16 matchups, none of them could happen just due to the way that the groups shake out. That's just how the Euros work. So we'll definitely be coming back after the group stage with a full analysis and our updated round of 16 predictions once we actually know the path, because it's a bit unfair to make knockout stage predictions when we have no idea who would play who, but we had to do it for you guys, of course. So stay tuned for the future, all of our Euro content. But yeah, I think your pick picks are interesting. It'd be interesting to see Italy go back to back in the finals. I don't think they have the quality to beat England, but you were right. The way that they had it drawn up in your predictions, beating Czech Republic that late in the tournament, definitely a favorable path. But I don't know if I can see them getting that far. And I think you disrespected Austria heavily in the group stage, but only time will tell. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to hopefully an incredible tournament.
Yes, and thank you guys for watching this far into the video. Make sure to comment down below what you thought of our predictions. Again, very crazy path that I had, so let us know in the comments down below what is your path. We're going to leave a link to the Telegraph. That's where we did this entire little activity. It's really fun. You can play around, and I'm actually curious, if you click Braden on Italy, what's the percentage of people that had this insane path that I had to? Oh yeah, 3%. Sounds about right. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys thought. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, like, share with your friends, and let us know if you enjoy this type of content, going abroad and not just focusing on the US-17 niche. I think it's a good exercise because at some point we will face these teams in the future, hopefully when we punch above our weight in 26. So we'll see you next time.